This is a rare time, a changed political situation where the rulers of this country are so divided that they can't even agree on basic facts. January 6th was the first anniversary of a failed first attempt at a coup, bringing widespread open talk of the possibility of a second civil war in America. The Republican Fascist Party is preparing to reseize national power by passing laws in states around the country that will effectively rig elections this year and in 2024, while at the same time growing and keeping at the ready their violent mobs who are already threatening and attacking election officials, school board members, and health administrators.
Threats upon my life, harassment of my family.
People sense the horrific danger of the future that this would bring. Yet there is another side to this. Over the past 8 months, the RevComs and we here on the RNL show have been digging into that. This situation also contains within it the liberating potential of a political situation where a real revolution to overthrow the oppressive and exploitive capitalist imperialist system that we live under has now become possible. To make this possibility, this responsibility real, is what this third season of the RNL show dedicates itself to. We are picking up the pace, heading out into the world, recruiting and fighting like hell for the people who need this revolution, all of you watching and millions more, to shed illusions and delusions that you can ride this out, to stop looking in the mirror of your selfie and become the people, the force to emancipate all of humanity. This system causes tremendous unnecessary suffering all over the world, as it is literally destroying the earth and threatening humanity's very survival. We live in a moment in history when the ground first rumbles and shakes, portending the potential tremor of an earth-shaking quake. The great Bob Dylan wrote in All Along the Watchtower, quote, "There must be some way out of here," said the Joker to the thief. "There's too much confusion. I can't get no relief," end quote. Indeed, a third winter of pandemic. The Republican Fascist Party abandons the truth in pursuit of a fascist future of unrestrained white supremacy, patriarchy, and xenophobia, while brazenly discarding the rule of law, rewriting law and custom, while denouncing and purging all who oppose them, while their violent thug wing prepares to impose their rule through open terror. And the Democrats remain relatively paralyzed and impotent, hemmed in and constrained by the reality that it is the same system that gives rise to the fascism, the capitalist imperialist system that they, the Democrats, preside over. They are a ruling party, and as such they must and they will defend the system that has given rise to this fascism. Bob Dylan's verse continues in All Along the Watchtower with its most famous line that Bob Avakian quotes in the beginning of his new work. Listen to Jimi Hendrix's version. So let us not talk falsely now. The hour is getting late. In a time of lies and lunacy, danger and unspeakable and unnecessary brutal oppression and repression, a time of so much confusion, there is a light in this darkness. There is a road forward to a bright, emancipating future for humanity the world over, and that light, that scientific analysis, that strategy, that liberating revolution is now in the work that will frame the RNL show's third season, a work for this moment in history from the revolutionary leader and author of the New Communism, Bob Avakian. Something terrible or something truly emancipating? Profound crisis? Deepening divisions, the looming possibility of civil war, and the revolution that is urgently needed, a necessary foundation, a basic roadmap for this revolution. If you do nothing else after you watch this show, go to revcom.us and read this. Then think about it. Then reread it. As if not just your future, but the future depends on it, because it does. And that's no lie. Right at the beginning of this piece, Bob Avakian goes to the heart of the matter.
Here is the heart of the matter. Many people, including someone like Martin Luther King, have argued that attempting to carry out a revolution to overthrow this system is suicidal, particularly for black people in this country, when in fact, black people and masses of other oppressed and exploited people profoundly and desperately need this revolution. The reality is that such a revolution can succeed, but this is possible, particularly up against powerful ruling forces, like in this country, only in rare times and circumstances. And here is a very important truth. This is one of those rare times and circumstances.
There's nothing else that comes close to what Bob Avakian does in Something Terrible or Something Truly Emancipating. This is a framework that gets to the root of why the specter of the January 6, 2021 attempted coup at the U.S. Capitol was but a prelude, a dress rehearsal. Why a second civil war looms. Why and how all of this is a product of the problems that the capitalist imperialist system confronts in today's globalized world, as well as why the particular history of the U.S. in genocide, white supremacy, and U.S. imperialist domination and exploitation of the Third World has come to where we are today. Others have insightfully described some of these phenomena, but none but Bob Avakian get to the root, and on that foundation can even imagine a roadmap beyond the horrors of today and the greater horror to come if we do not act to overthrow this system. None but Bob Avakian get to the root, and on that foundation can even imagine a roadmap beyond the horrors of today and the greater horror to come if we do not act to overthrow this system. What is this system? In a pamphlet that Bob Avakian wrote this past summer, This is a Rare Time When Revolution Becomes Possible, Why That Is So, and How to Seize on This Rare Opportunity, he wrote,
From Bob Avakian, revolutionary leader, author of The New Communism. This is a rare time when revolution becomes possible. Why that is so, and how to seize on this rare opportunity. First, some basic truths. Point 1. We live under a system, the system of capitalism, imperialism. Capitalism is an economic and political system of exploitation and oppression. And imperialism refers to the worldwide nature of this system. This system causes tremendous suffering for people all over the world, and it poses a growing threat to the very existence of humanity. This is a system dominated by capitalist corporations, banks, and other financial institutions controlling vast sums of money, all of which is based on exploiting people, masses of people here and billions of people throughout the world, including huge numbers of children. These capitalists are locked in cutthroat competition with each other, and this drives them to penetrate every part of the world, especially the poorer countries, in order to exploit people even more viciously, while leaving many people without a way to work at all within the regular, formal economy. This system has white supremacy and male supremacy built into it. This system continually causes situations where life becomes extremely desperate and often very dangerous for growing numbers of people in their home countries, forcing them to uproot themselves and migrate across countries and continents, and then treats them as criminals when they seek asylum or relief from unbearable conditions. This system leads to wars to conquer nations and people, wars for control of key parts of the world, and potentially even wars between nuclear-armed capitalist imperialist countries, fighting to determine which will be the most powerful oppressor in the world, if anything is left of this world after such a war. This system is rapidly destroying the global environment. All this is reality, and no one can escape this reality. Either we radically change it in a positive way or everything will be changed in a very negative way.
What is a situation that opens up the possibility that a real revolution really could be made in a powerful country like this? In Something Terrible or Something Truly Emancipating, Bob Avakian goes deeply into what constitutes a situation where a revolution could be made, with historical example and a scientific dissection of that potential today. And over the coming months, we will be getting into this on this, the R&L Show. The basic contours, the essential opening that has now presented itself in this country that makes this a rare time when revolution becomes possible, was put forth in a declaration, a call to get organized now for a real revolution from the RevComs put out last spring.
From point 2 of the long version of the RevComs, a declaration, a call to get organized now for a real revolution. This is one of those rare times and circumstances when revolution becomes possible. Not just because this system is always a horror, but because the crisis and deep divisions in society now can only be resolved through radical means of one kind or another. Either radically reactionary, murderously oppressive and destructive means, or radically emancipating, revolutionary means. Those who have ruled over us for so long with their Republican and Democratic parties are now caught up in bitterly fighting each other over how to hold this country together, keep this system going, enforce its rule over the people it exploits and oppresses, and maintain this country as the world's top dog oppressive power. The Republicans are moving to exercise this rule through fascism, discarding the pretense of democracy for all, relying on naked brutality and trampling on people's rights to enforce undisguised, aggressive male supremacy.
You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy.
White supremacy, xenophobia, hatred of foreigners, and the persecution of immigrants, especially from non-white countries. And crude America First chauvinism. The Democrats are trying to keep things together with more disguise and deception, with the claim that what exists in this country is a great democracy, representing the will of the people.
Opening doors of opportunity, guaranteeing some more fairness and justice. That's the essence of America.
And for this reason, it deserves to be and needs to be the most powerful force in the world.
I will never hesitate to use force to defend the vital interests of America, the American people.
But in reality, both of these ruling class parties are working to maintain the violent, oppressive power, the dictatorship of this capitalist imperialist system, with all the horrors for humanity this involves.
Bob Avakian goes on to say, as we have and will continue to bring to life on the R&L Show, quote, this could lead to something very bad or something very good if we act in the way we need to in these rare circumstances and fight to take things where they need to go, end quote. Why and how this is so is deeply and provocatively gone into in the talk. But perhaps you are thinking that these people out here are not really paying attention and they are into all kinds of bullshit. Well, that's true. B.A. knows that. And in Something Terrible or Something Truly Emancipating, he goes at the kind of crap that people are thinking. Right from the beginning, he says this.
I am going to say what needs to be said about the way things are, why they are that way, where things are headed, and what needs to be done to radically change this in a positive way. And as part of that, I am going to bluntly speak some truth that is bound to offend some people. I do this because the stakes in all this are so high, and, to refer to a line from Bob Dylan, the hour is getting late, and there is no time to speak falsely now. But I do this not out of a sense that people are so deeply caught up in that they cannot break with ways of thinking and acting which serve to perpetuate their own oppression and degradation, and that of others as well. No, I am doing this precisely out of the understanding that masses of people not only need to, but can make a profound break with this, that they can radically change themselves as part of, and in the process of, radically changing the world in an emancipating way.
Something Terrible or Something Truly Emancipating provides a roadmap for how we need to go about urgently preparing now to bring about a situation where a revolution could be attempted with a real chance of winning. He puts forth the challenge and the task for right now like this, quote, "Everything depends on bringing forward a revolutionary people from among the most bitterly oppressed and all parts of society, first in the thousands and then in the millions, as a powerful revolutionary force, organized from the start consistently with a countrywide perspective, impacting all of society and changing the terms of how masses of people see things and how every institution has to respond. Everything must be focused now on bringing forward and organizing this revolutionary force," end quote. Over the coming weeks, starting today, the RNL show is going to be bringing reports from the RevComs fighting to bring forward a revolutionary people. Together with all of you getting involved, sending reports, going where things are sharply posed, filming sharp, substantive debates over reform versus revolution, showing the writing of the rebels on the hard, broken down streets with, as the song says, quote, "the words of the prophets written on the tenement walls," end quote, as well as in the school and college dorm halls. We are going to be on the move to struggle with daring and resolve. And here's an important example of what I'm talking about that shows the potential for getting this revolution, getting this leadership before millions. The first 2 weeks of this year, the largest Spanish newspaper published on its website the full presentation by Bob Avakian, Something Terrible or Something Truly Emancipating. This was then followed by an op-ed by Michelle Chai, a leader of the Revolution Club here in Los Angeles. Here she's in a TikTok telling of this.
Hola, soy Michelle Chai, soy una de las líderes del Club Revolución aquí en Los Ángeles y acabo de recoger mi copia de la opinión y acaban de imprimir una sección de opinión escrito por mí con el título "En un momento oscuro hay una base para la esperanza". El 6 de enero marcó el primer aniversario del atentado al golpe de poder fascista liderado por Donald Trump y los republicanos. En las vísperas de este aniversario, La Opinión publicó una nueva obra importante por el líder revolucionario Bob Avakian, con el título "Algo terrible o algo verdaderamente emancipador". Yo he leído y estudiado esta obra y estoy convencida que esto es lo que necesitamos entrarle y aplicar en este momento que tanta gente está buscando respuestas. Cuando Donald Trump fue elegido en el 2016, lo primero que se me vino a la mente fueron imágenes de linchamientos. Había llegado a aprender sobre la fea historia de este país, que este no es el hogar o la tierra de la libertad, este es el hogar del capitalismo, de la explotación, del imperialismo, que domina y destruye alrededor del mundo. Y necesitamos una revolución real para poner un fin a este sistema. Pero se me cayó el alma a los pies cuando escuché que Donald Trump era presidente, porque yo sabía que mi peor pesadilla se iba a volver realidad. Lo que vimos el año pasado, el 6 de enero, es exactamente eso. Estos fascistas tratando de implementar este futuro de supremacía blanca, de supremacía masculina, de xenofobia, todo liderado por Donald Trump y los republicanos nazis. El intento de golpe de poder fascista estuvo muy cerca de triunfar, pero no ha terminado. Este fue un ensayo general. Pero como muestra Bob Avakian en esa nueva obra, existe la esperanza en una base científica. Precisamente en estas divisiones que existen en la cima de la sociedad por los gobernantes, existe la posibilidad de sacar algo realmente positivo de esta situación que se ve tan horrorosa. Vivimos en un momento poco común donde la revolución se vuelve posible. Y Bob Avakian demuestra por qué se debe de hacer. Bob Avakian lleva décadas trabajando sobre el creciente fascismo en los Estados Unidos. Este es un líder que salió de los movimientos de los 1960 y no se dio por vencido, sino se puso a trabajar para traer enfrente una estrategia y un análisis de por qué necesitamos una revolución, de dónde viene esta opresión, y ha desarrollado el nuevo comunismo. Yo tuve la suerte de conectarme con el liderazgo y la obra de Bob Avakian. Para todos aquellos que en este momento están agonizando de la situación que vivimos y qué nos trae el futuro, tienen que entrarle a esta obra y a este líder revolucionario.
All of this is for a future that before now people could only dream of. As we wrote on our website, revcom.us, this past week, quote, all of us must and can be for a revolution nothing less. Not another round of the murderous cycle of capitalism, imperialism, in whatever new wrappings it will try to come in, but a whole new world, a socialist system designed to support revolution worldwide and overcome the scars of the past, taking care of the environment and working towards a communist society without exploitation, without oppression of any kind, indeed without any of the antagonistic conflicts whatsoever between groups of people. That vision is possible, and there is a sweeping vision and a concrete blueprint embodied in the Constitution for the new socialist republic in North America by Bob Avakian, where you can see this real alternative, what we must be fighting for in the struggles to come, end quote. And I want to close with this. Bob Avakian, in his New Year's statement last year, concluded with this, quote, the road to a better world is not and will not be an easy one. This cannot be accomplished without determined struggle and, yes, great sacrifice. But continuing on the current course under the domination of this system of capitalism, imperialism, means a continuation of the horrors already being perpetrated in the world today and the far worse horrors that are immediately threatening, and the very real existential danger that is increasingly looming. In the face of the fascist juggernaut that is still threatening and gaining strength, large numbers of us who are deeply sickened and outraged by this and who aspire to something much better have raised and rallied to the call that science and truth matter, and that must be our guide. Let us now be brave enough and bold enough to apply this in an unhindered way, determined to seek the truth and follow the truth wherever it leads, overcoming all obstacles to this, including any cherished illusions and ingrained prejudices that run counter to reality and scientifically established truth. Let us dare to act to make a reality of what science reveals as possible, a radically different and far better world and future for humanity, end quote.